And I want us to move to another story that is on page 5 of the Daily Nation. That is Maraga reshuffles 14 appeal court judges. And I just want to quickly look at that list. We see that Justice Erastus Githinji has been moved from Kisumu to Nairobi. Lady Justice Wanjiku Karanja from Malindi to Nairobi. Lady Justice Martha Kome from Malindi to Nairobi. Lady Justice Hannah Okwengu from Kisumu to Nairobi. Fatuma Sichale Nyeri to Nairobi. Jamila Mohammed Kisumu to Nairobi, Justice Sankale Olekantai from Nyeri to Nairobi, and Justice Gatembo Kairo from Nairobi to Malindi, Justice A.K. Murgo from Nairobi to Malindi, and also Justice Makhandia from Nairobi to Kisumu, Justice Kiage from Nairobi to Kisumu, Otieno Dek from Nairobi to Kisumu. And these are 14 movements. Was it last week or the week before? We saw High Court transfers also affecting quite a number of divisions. And when you look at this, the Chief Justice, and actually there's a statement that came through yesterday, and it was indicating that these are normal and routine transfers, and the deployment has been done by the Chief Justice in consultation with the President of the Court of Appeal. Their deployment is strictly in accordance with the Court of Appeal transfer policy that states that a Court of Appeal judge will serve in one station for a period of 2 years. The only judges who are due for deployment but were not moved are Honorable Justice, how do you read this name? Al-Nashir Bisram, who is in Malindi, and Justice Philip Waki in Nairobi, owing to their impending retirement later in the year. Though Honorable Erastus Githinji is also due to retire, and he has been moved from Kisumu to Nairobi. So when you look at what the judiciary is saying versus what people are saying, especially in the paper today on the Daily Nation, that the move is seen to have affected mostly those mentioned in disputes arising from 2017 petitions. In your view as a lawyer, what do you think is the truth?
Well, on the face of it, I mean, the Chief Justice is entitled. I mean, you serve at the discretion on a station, I think, of the judge. It's just like the presidency. You serve in a cabinet position at the discretion of the president, the instance of the president. So on the face of it, I think nothing really to read much from it, but I think you cannot help but think around the issues and the timing. If it is true that these judges who've been moved around are perceived to have been judges who had issues with election petitions, then it would raise another more salient question, which for me is that if a judge is perceived to have been complicit, or if there were complaints against a certain judge, then the proper thing to do is to refer or make reference to the Judicial Service Commission so that inquiry can be taken into their conduct. Moving them around certainly wouldn't sort out that issue, and then it creates that perception then that they have to deal with, that they're actually complicit or guilty of having done those particular things. And if this is the truth, then we need to answer other questions. You remember that there are judges of the Court of Appeal who appeared on a holiday to suspend the decision of a High Court over the presidential election. They were not empaneled. If I remember correctly, they were probably out of station. So what did the Chief Justice do then? I mean, so those are questions that the Chief Justice, and then the Chief Justice also needs to give the impression that he does not react when there's pressure from the executive. Remember, this is also coming when the executive and the presidency has been very hard on the judiciary and the Chief Justice to the extent that they're probably not very firm helping the executive deal with questions of the judiciary. Then when he retreated to the coast, then you had issues about magistrates now being, more magistrates being put in the corruption court, being told to sit extra hours. So the Chief Justice needs to give the impression that he's in control and doesn't react because the executive seems to have said this, or the executive seems to have taken blame. But on the whole, I mean, it makes sense that no judge should stay in one station more than 2 years, for reasons, obviously, that then the perceptions that a judge has become entrenched in a particular court would send wrong signals to the persons who are seeking justice.
Mheshimiwa Onyonka, we live in a country where there's a perception that if your boss doesn't like you, they transfer you. can the same be said about these movements at the judiciary? Because I remember, was it last year that Justice Odunga was moved from the Constitutional Division to Machakos, and some changes were made at the Constitutional Division, and some other changes have been made this year?
There's some very serious changes that have been made, and you remember, Justice Odunga was being moved just after decisions to do with the presidential elections, and you remember there were very unsavory attacks by the leader of majority, Adan Duale, and they tried to even link him with his ethnicity and the then presidential election. The impression being that Odunga was giving these decisions because he's more aligned towards one side of the divide, which is associated with Odinga. And I think that remark wasn't very good coming from leader of majority, but the Chief Justice appeared to have been reacting.
Right.
He needs to have explained then why was it Odunga alone? Was it that he was overdue for being reshuffled? Why didn't it affect other judges? And then at the moment, there is the perception that judges in a division now presiding over the case of the Deputy Chief Justice are being moved around, and another judge being brought into the division. They're disquiet about this being linked to that particular case.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, I agree with my brother. The truth is, Justice Maraga has to be a little bit more careful in terms of making decisions on moving the appeal judges from one quarter to the other. The impression you get, the first impression you get, is that this is a decision which Justice Maraga made simply because you had the Boma's meeting where the presidency, like Honorable Kotha said, where the president kept on hammering in and telling Justice Maraga that as far as we are concerned, you're not doing enough, you're not. And I would plead with Justice Maraga that let him stand by the law, let the facts exonerate somebody or let the facts condemn somebody. Let us make sure that the Bill of Rights is protected under the Constitution. Let us make sure that we do not trifle and trample on other people's rights simply because we are coming up with this issue of fighting corruption. Because again, it is very easy for politicians to use a fight of anything.
Right.
It is very easy for politicians to use the fight for corruption to victimize and to be vindictive towards people who may not agree with them. And in this case, I saw a beautiful piece which somebody had written last week where they said if there's anybody who benefited from a court that was fair and that was just, it's President Uhuru and Deputy President William Ruto, that they went through the process of the ICC, and the process actually at the end of it ended up exonerating them, even when a lot of people politically had taken a position that they should have been found guilty and therefore they should have answered to these charges.
Right. I
would want to say the president should be very careful. The pressure that is putting on the judiciary, the DCI, the DPP, and the EACC, let them go out there. If somebody has broken the law, let them follow the law. Let them collect the evidence. Let that evidence be weighted in. Let the judges and magistrates look at the law. And let us not look at the political pressure. According to me, Justice Maraga has to put his foot down. He tried, I noticed when he was responding to the issues that the president had raised and all the people who were speaking. And I also wanted to mention the issue. You have frequent cases where the DPP and the team that is investigating, and there is the DCI that is taking some of these cases to court. It's very simple. Any lawyer will tell you, if the evidence is watertight, you will win a case. But if you do short investigations, put down evidence as if you're going to run a kangaroo court, and then you expect, simply because Kenya has got a problem with issues such as corruption, to rush through this evidence, to deny people bail. The Bill of Rights in our Constitution protects everybody. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Number two, you cannot put bail terms which are actually injurious or unconstitutional on somebody by simply suspecting that this individual has broken the law.
Great.